All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is a rare event. We have um, Yadhira González, right? Taylor. Yes. Yadhira was a district attorney during the 2000. I mean, during the period of 2000, right? To 2000. I'm not pretty sure, but I know I was with the DA's office from 2000, 1999 to 2007. So perhaps that's the same time you were there. Yeah. So Yadira is running for a judge in the Bronx, civil court judge, and then she needed everyone to come out today to vote and get her elected because she represents the community. She's part of us. She also worked for the district attorney's office, prosecute cases, and she will be a very good fit for civil court judge. So we should come in and then support her and come out to vote. Today is the day of voting. So I have Yadira here today to discuss about the importance of voting, how we can get the community involved and come out to vote. Welcome, Yadira.
Thank you, Mamadou. Thank you for welcoming me to your space on Facebook. I know that you have a lot of people that you interact with, and I'm hoping that I can reach some of our Bronx neighbors here in the Bronx and encourage them if they have not already voted. The polls are closing at 9 p.m. On the dot. So if you are there by 9 p.m., you will be allowed to vote. Voting.nyc is where you can look up your polling site. It is important that you, I'm literally in my campaign headquarters, which is my Subaru. Um, so please forgive me for the exterior noises. We have been out here since 6 o'clock in the morning, talking to voters, visiting as many poll sites as we could. The municipal court district in which I'm running has 72 poll sites. So it is not possible, humanly possible, for me to touch every single poll site, but I have tried as many as I possibly can to meet my neighbors here in the Bronx. A little bit about today. As most people hopefully know, today is election day in the city of New York. The keys to our city are literally being turned over at 9:01, and for the next couple of weeks, as we figure out who our new mayor is, our new city council members, our new controller, who's going to be the purse holder for our people here, as well as two judges in Bronx County. If you live anywhere between Riverdale to Port Morris, Woodlawn down to Mott Haven, you get to choose two new judges that end up in either criminal or family court or civil court. And so I am one of those candidates. There are five candidates and only two positions. So I'm encouraging anyone who is on here that is getting this message to please do the research. I am hoping for your vote. I'm hoping for your support as someone who is qualified, almost 20 years of legal experience. I'm born in the Bronx, raised in the Bronx. I have also raised an entire family here in the Bronx, and I still live in the Bronx. So, along with my prosecutorial experience, both at the DA's level, in the police department level, where I prosecuted corruption and misconduct, as well as my military police experience in the Army, and my experience teaching young people in criminal justice field at Monroe. I volunteer as an arbitrator. So I think I have a wealth of legal experience that I have to offer my community, as well as lived experience of being a Bronxite all my life and being here. But really, what I want to encourage everyone is to please come out to vote. Um, Judges are 10-year positions. So when you elect someone who really doesn't belong on the bench, and historically we may have seen examples of that. Sometimes we see examples of people that may not have belonged on the bench. We elect people to the bench. It's a 10-year position, and it is very hard to get rid of someone once you're elected to a 10-year position. So it's important for the viewer, the voter, to know who they're electing. Research, Google, look up news. Ballotpedia.com is a great resource where you can look up the candidates. Um, so I'm here to talk to you about that. Anything you want to talk about as well, Mamadou? And yes, I remember we were in the DA's office at the same time. I was there from '02 to '06, and we had many conversations about community back then.
Yes, yes, yes. So that's why it's interesting for you to come up to our platform here and kind of relate your message. I know we could have done this earlier so that perhaps the voters could be informed that you're running, and perhaps you can get a benefit of perhaps some people coming out to vote in our community. But however, this is another opportunity to let people know that you are here, and being a judge is very important, especially in our community. We need judges who has the experience, who who have the know-how, who have the authenticity, who have the integrity, and then the leadership skills, and then the relation with the community. And over the years, I've seen that you have demonstrated that. So can you tell us, our viewers, what makes you so different from other candidates, and why should you be voted for this position?
Well, I think one of the unique things that I bring among the five candidates is that I'm the only veteran who has served in the country's army, in the nation's army. So I bring the perspective of the veteran. I did serve during peacetime. I did not go to war or, sorry, did not serve in wartime, but I did serve for 6 years in the reserve. So I've had relationships. I've built relationships with other soldiers. I'm aware of some of the circumstances and the adversities that are experienced by soldiers. The unit that I belonged to, which was the 812 MP company, um, they went to the desert many times once the United States was involved in conflicts abroad. And I am keenly aware of the needs of our troops once they return and become, they're given the term veteran. 8% of our incarcerated individuals are veterans, and yet that percentage is not reflected in proportion to the bench. We don't have that many judges that have served. And this is reflected in the fact that we no longer have, we don't obligate anybody to serve in the nation's military. So, but it's something where the leadership is not reflective of the people that are being judged. And I want to add that perspective, that demographic. I have a unique position, which is that I say I'm a judge for all people. I am not running as a platform to vote for me because I'm Latina. I'm running as a qualified individual who can serve the community, who has raised a family here, who has lived some of the adversities that I would see people coming before my court. I've lived the same adversities, including food insecurity, including experiencing child abuse and living in a domestic violence household. I am open about that. I don't keep it from the public because I think that part of removing some of that stigma in our professional lives is living authentic lives and letting people know what our backgrounds are, so that people understand what your perspective is when you make arguments on behalf of vulnerable populations. So I believe that that's unique in that by the nature of our profession, lawyers, a large percentage of lawyers do come up from privilege, right? They've come up from either middle class or upper class and have had the very best education. So statistically, they're less likely to have some of these experiences. And that is not a bad reflection on anyone. It's just the way that the world works, right? I am blessed enough to have survived a lot of that stuff. I'm blessed enough to be able to bring my education to the forefront so that I can combine the good, the bad, and the ugly to the greatness of the experiences that I've had as an attorney to be a good judge for all people.
Excellent. Yeah. So one of the key criteria of a judge is to be able to judge impartially. People life are impacted with the decision that judges make. And if I ever wanna really vote for someone who is gonna be a judge, I have to look at how impartial this person is, especially in a situation where we are with the race issue in America, with George Floyd case and other cases, Amadou Diallo, and the judges were the determinant factors, especially when it involves law enforcement and so forth. I know you are not a criminal, you're not running for a criminal judge, but you're running for a civil judge, as a civil judge. But the same token, civil judges also have to decide, when there is a lawsuit and when there are decision to be made. So how would you look at yourself when it comes to becoming impartial in the eyes of diversity, race, and all that?
Well, one of the blessings of having been able to work as an assistant DA in the Bronx and a prosecutor inside the police department and a hearing officer for the DOE is that I have walked in spaces for the last almost 20 years, for the last 18 plus years, among people from all walks of life, from our most vulnerable to our most privileged. I have met students in the New York City Department of Education that are home insecure. Other people use the word homeless. They're lacking housing, to students that are millionaires who attend our public school systems. So I have had the opportunity to walk in different spaces, not only as an attorney, as a human being living in the Bronx, as a professor meeting young students at Moreau and at another school that I've worked in the past, as a soldier. I have met people from all walks of life as well, from California to Kentucky, to New Jersey to Florida. So I think that that provides me with an intersectionality of knowing that we can't judge people by the color of their skin. We're supposed to look at people by the nature of their character, or the character that they bring before them, or the actions that they show. And we're supposed to put aside any bias based on gender, sexual orientation, sexual preference, color of skin, religious preference, etc. Everyone is supposed to be equal under the law based on the Constitution. That is one of the ways that I believe I can be the best neutral party as a judge in the Bronx. And just a point of clarification, civil court is what we're running for. If elected, I'm not going to claim it when elected. I may be assigned to criminal court or family court. The Office of Court Administration uses the civil court position once elected to fill the gaps that are necessary in civil and family court. And so I am hoping to end up in one of those two courts.
Yeah, it's good to clarify that, because when you say you're running for civil court, some people might look at it as only civil issues you're going to be dealing with. But you have options to deal with other issues besides civil issues as well. So that's good. Now, I know you have extensive experience as a lawyer at the DA's office, and then other backgrounds in the military and so forth. Now, when it comes to qualification, there is no question that you are, definitely qualified for this position. But what have been your challenges so far? Why is it that you haven't been, let's say, like I've seen you working tirelessly day and night doing a lot of, campaigns. But what has been your challenges, and what do you think our voters should do in order, to make it easier for people like you in this situation?
Well, voting is important, and we still have till 9 o'clock, right? So I'm hoping that anyone who's listening to this either gets, if they haven't voted, gets up and go vote tonight before 9 o'clock. Call a friend, call your family members, get on Twitter, get on WhatsApp, get on any kind of platform that you communicate with, to let people know that this is going on. And it's not just my position. It's not the position of judge that's up for grabs. It's mayor. Our city is in need of good leadership coming forward. We are coming out of a pandemic. We're coming out of a situation in which we have been devastated in Bronx County. So we want to make sure, I know I do, as a citizen that lives here with a family, I want to make sure that the city is turned over to only the best qualified individuals. And as a judicial candidate, I'm not allowed to endorse anyone. I have made my choice. I went to I went to vote, and I ranked those positions that could be ranked, and I voted across the board, all the way from the top to the bottom. It's important that we do that. One of the biggest obstacles in this race is the fact that judge races are not as exciting as other races, right?
Exactly.
They're not the type of race that attract media, It's not the type of race that would attract newspaper articles so that you gain some kind of traction and therefore people get excited for you and step up. We have a team of volunteers. We have people that have supported to the extent possible. But because 400 people are running for office in the city of New York this year, it has been difficult, very difficult to get volunteer support. We have had support, but I think we would have had a lot more had it not been for the amounts, the enormous amount of people running, which I think it's a good thing. Democracy thrives when
Right,
there is competition.
right, all right. Yeah, it's good thing to see some of you in the political arena, because I'll call it like that, because I never in my wildest dream that you will be running for office, because that was not something that I never thought of. But having to know that you know this is something that you want to do and it's political is really exciting. The only thing is I would say getting our community involved is a key, and we have seen that the only time that people get involved in when they are passionate about something, like you said, judges are not the most exciting, like I mean, office that people run for. So for that being the case, we will be like, okay, hey George, how is that gonna affect me if I never do anything wrong? But we have to understand, from the community perspective, that anything that you guys do could affect our community. If it doesn't affect me directly, it could affect my family member. So having a good judge like yourself would be an asset, because you will make good decisions on the behalf of the community, and we never know who is that gonna affect. So I think it's very important for our people to be enlightening about the importance of judges selecting a judge, because like you said, when you do it, it's difficult to undo it. Yeah, and then the tenure is like what? How many years you have to be a judge before you?
And
10 years. So
10
ten
years before.
years, 10 years, and one time you we get voted for one time, correct?
That's a very long time. And you have a judge for 10 years in criminal court or family court. That's an entire generation that can be damaged by decision making that is wrong,
Wrong.
or decision making that could, potentially be done by someone who is not, um, does not have good capacity to do the right thing, right?
Right.
Uh, and also the fact that what I've told everyone I've met on the street, a lot of people that I've met on the street, I've said to them, you're more likely to meet a judge than you are the mayor or the president of the United States. The further down you go on the ballot, the more powerful that position is. In that it is kind of like it controls a smaller portion of the geography, but it controls a giant portion of our population, and resources and opportunities, for our communities. That's where functioning communities that receive all the services and that have access to all the resources, and where the citizenry is respected and listened to, are those communities where people vote, where they come out and they do their research, and when they get to the voting booth, they already know who they're going to select, because each and every candidate has taken the time to approach the voter and explain why they should be voted for. And my dream, my civic dream, is that every community in the Bronx has that respect from our elected officials, where everybody is listened to, and where resources are available for everyone.
Right. Excellent. So how passionate are you about this election, and how optimistic are you? Being that you've been campaigning for like how many months?
I started campaigning as soon as I announced. I've been doing a lot of virtual events. I've been very active on social media. I have done every single thing I could possibly do within the resources that I had to make a person to person connection. So since February, when I announced, petition time, through March, April, May, June, we have tried to make contact with as many Bronxites as we possibly can, and that is what I'm hanging my hat on. At this point, it's 7:30 p.m. This is, I feel like, that, Mama, do you and I are friends on Facebook, so you know that I love plants. You know that I have over 70 plants in my house, and I've learned to be very patient by gardening,
Right.
indoors and outdoors. And when you plant a seed, You have to water it, nurture it, and take care of it. And it's like a little, you have to chomp it up a little bit at a time. So I feel like I am the turtle in the race who has been consistently and steadily reaching out to voters. And I'm hoping that that paid off in the end. And even if I want to claim a win, I want to be the person who ends up with the position, because I do believe I'm a good choice, I'm a best choice. um Even if that's not the case and that doesn't work out that way, i i I believe that I have brought some information to the community that can make everyone's life better, which is that participation is important, that civic duty is important, and that we have to start paying attention to these positions that are quiet and not sexy, because they really do impact our lives.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You know, we wish you nailed this, and then you are the one, being one of the two judges that wins this position. But in case, like everything else, you must have plan B. In case that doesn't work out, um, there are perhaps some benefits to this. And then the benefit is at least you have brought something on the table, like you just said. And also, it has been a test for you personally, your experience in running campaigns, and perhaps it might even set you up for a bigger position. Is that the case?
No, no, I this is the job that I'm best qualified for. I believe this is the job that I'm best qualified for. I see people do that. They run for this doesn't work out. They run for that. That may work out. I believe in staying in my lane. I am a public servant. I serve the community. I serve the people. And in my current position, I am completely happy doing what I do. And I also teach MRO. So I am fulfilled professionally, so that if it doesn't work out for me tonight, I can go right back to the drawing board and continue to serve my people, my public, not my public, sorry, the community. Continue to serve the community, which is what I love. So
Right.
don't look for me to be saying that I'm running for anything else anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that, but again, I wouldn't leave that doors. I wouldn't keep that doors closed, because I've often see that once people get experience, they get the know-how, and then they feel qualified for an opportunity, because they never know. And politics is like that. You want to always do good for people. Now you can do good on your own, but the moment you started feeling like I can do so much on my own, now I want to reflect that on the mass, on the population. And there's always something that you will always find that you probably want to do. So in that case, if that opportunity falls on your way, you have you already built the architecture. So you perhaps can go back to the drawing board and then explore that. I know you wanted to be a judge, and then this is what you are trained. You have experience on. You have been doing all your life, in that line of business. But again, you can never say no when you are in this.
I agree with you. I'm gonna be true and say you never say never. You never know what. I certainly did not imagine running for office. That's one thing, right? So just a few years ago, 2 years ago, I didn't think, oh, I could possibly run for office. So I understand, and I'll keep any option that the will of the universe and God has in its plan for me, because you never know, right? For now, that's not what I'm anticipating.
Yeah. Well, I know this is a short notice, and I was hoping to get you guys on, you know, perhaps like weeks before, but I guess, schedule and busy schedule. And but we still have the opportunity at least to say a few words. What is your final thoughts? Or final words to our viewers? What would you like to share?
I just want to thank every single person that has been supportive. It's been a hard job. This is one of the harder things I've done in my life. I had to channel a lot of the training that I received in the military in terms of being resilient and forward thinking and moving with like only worrying about your present moment and the journey that you're in instead of worrying about what anyone else is doing. I'm grateful for my training because of that, because those are some of the things you learn in the military. You learn a lot of resourcefulness. You learn a lot of the ability to kind of just stay on task and just keep moving regardless of what's happening around you. Um, and just that I'm grateful. I'm grateful for community. I'm grateful for everyone that has supported me, that has publicly said, hey, I support this lady. I think she's, completely qualified. I think she can be a good judge and you should give her the opportunity and vote for her. I have been endorsed by the Uniform Fire Officers Association, the Uniform Firefighters Association, the Northwest Bronx Democrats, a civic group called Concerned Citizens out of Riverdale, among other community leaders. So I think that I have a good chance. I'm optimistic about this race, and I just want people to go vote.
Right.
That,
Yeah. So one before I forget, one more thing. I think it's two more things. First, like I know judges where people are not being too sensitized about um judge the importance of judges. What would be your advice, to either people in that line of business, how people can know and be sensitized that judges, people do vote for judges, and it is impactful to our community. And second, my second question would be, since this is political, anything that has to do with, voting, that has to do with, somebody deciding, who leads them, it's always, comes down to a political thing. So how does politics influence your judges' decision making in terms of, cases that they deal with? So those are the two things I want to end with.
so you got to help me out because it's been a long haul and I've been out all day. You gave me a 2-point question. Let's start off with one.
Okay.
So the first one.
The first one is people have not been sensitized about
Oh,
the
yes,
role
yes,
of the judges. I mean,
yes. The importance
that
of
being
judges.
the case, that's why some people go to the voting booth and they don't even vote because
Yeah.
they
They
don't
don't know the
they,
names. They
they
don't
don't
know
know
the names.
yeah. So what can be done in that area to sensitize people?
So the importance of judges is as important as, for example, in civil court, if you are a small business owner who has a lease, a commercial lease, that is the place where your commercial tenant, your commercial landlord would take you to evict you. We may have a lot of those cases coming up because of COVID. A lot of mom and pop shops that haven't been able to keep up with the income, may be facing eviction. That's the importance. That's the impactfulness of that position on our community directly. So sensitized to that, like this is a 10-year position, right? You want somebody in there that has the intellectual capacity but also has the heart to understand that in each case you have to look at circumstances and figure out how to help the individual within the bounds of the law, because you're always, you're married to the law first, and then you have to try to see if you can shape an outcome to the best of your ability within the bounds of the law and the Constitution. Family court, the impactfulness of family court judges in our families. Family court was originally meant to keep families together, not pull them apart. So you want people there, which I believe I'm one of them, that will try the very best way to keep a family together, understanding the cultural differences that we have, understanding within the bounds of the law, how families interact with each other, to find ways to help families stay together, help young people who are offending not reoffend so that they don't end up with a criminal record. That's the impactfulness of family court. Criminal court, same thing. Criminal court judges set bail or they don't set bail based on the new laws. They oversee plea deals. They oversee cases that where somebody can end up in jail for up to a year. And sometimes, if they are doing really, really good work, they can get picked to be acting Supreme Court justices where they're dealing with felony matters. So that is one of the most impactful things in our community. And just bringing people that know Again, not that can check bias, that will be fair, and that will put aside any preconceived notions about our community before they affect judgment over us. That is the impactfulness of it. So that's my encouragement to people. That's how important it is to go down the ballot and Google the names ahead of time and figure out who everyone is and read their website before you decide who your judge should be. That's pretty much it. And in terms of political in terms of decision, political issues, political influence should never, 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 ever, ever, ever have a place in a judge's decision. Political affiliations, political friendships, relationships with community leaders, none of that should ever have anything to do with how a judge decides a case. Because we are trusted, hopefully, if given the opportunity to be a judge, they are trusted servants of the people, not of anyone else, but of the people.
So you mean there is none of you contesting have a political power behind you?
What was that?
You mean none of you contesting have a political machine behind you?
Well, there are two that are backed by the Democratic, what you call the Bronx Democratic organization. Sometimes people use the word machine behind the organization. It is the Democratic Party. I am a member of the Democratic Party. So I am not backed by the Democratic Party, although I was found qualified by their independent screening committee since 2019. So there are two that are backed by the organization. I am not one of them. There are three that are not backed by the county organization. And there are 3 out of 5 that were found approved by the New York City Bar Association, which is a designation based on interviews that we submit to voluntarily. So all of that information is available via Google. The ethical canons do not allow me to comment on the other candidates. So I can only direct you to Google and find out about each and every candidate if you're inclined to do that.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Just want to confirm that, whether political decisions political, relations could influence George's decisions. But thank you for clearing that. I think, this has been a wonderful interview. I didn't want to, we still have an hour to vote. Yeah, about that, so come out and vote. I mean, this is very important civic duties. You know, this is something that everyone should take advantage of. The reason why of our forefathers and other folks, voted for voting is to make your, voice heard, for you to be represented well. So people have died, to see that we vote. So don't go to the ballot box and just check, maybe the mayor and then that's it. Come down all the way to the judges. Look at the people that you think messages are representing your view, and then vote for them, because the decision that you made there could impact your community and yourself for the rest of your life. So thank you
It's
so
true.
much.
I
Yeah,
couldn't have said it better.
yeah. Thank you. If you don't have anything, then I think we can just end it. Good luck tonight, and then I want to see a victory. Yadhira, Bronx
Thank you.
County Judge.
Thank you, Mamadou. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Take care. All right. Thank you.